Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcasting community by estate professionals for estate professionals, where we share the ideas and the access to people that help you work less, earn more, and do good in your community. If you get value in this free content, be sure to check out estateprofessionalsmastermind.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and free courses. To learn more, you can visit estateprofessionalsmastermind.com. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Well, welcome to our Tuesday broker coaching program for Probate Mastery. I'm Bill Gross, and I am racing to get set up here. I am a colleague of yours. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles, California, focused in probate real estate. I would say 100% of my lead generation activities are in probate real estate. And this program is affiliated with Chad Corbett's Probate Mastery. Not affiliated. This is really kind of an extension of that program, open to alums of the program or people paying for the coaching weekly. In this particular call we do every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We do this to kind of extend the training, extend the coaching, work together. I started attending this because I need this, even though I'm going to close 20, 25 houses this year, and I'm building a great business with some other residual income, as well as investment opportunities. But I need this. I need the camaraderie. I need the challenges. I need to learn best practices to keep improving myself. So that's why that's why I'm on this call. I'm a colleague. I'm not a paid coach. I'm not selling you a program. I'm not going to sell you data and call it leads. I'm really just going to help you build your business.
Thank God.
Because,
oh, sorry.
Because a rising tide lifts all ships. So that's the program we're involved with. And then Estate Professionals Mastermind is a Facebook group that has 6,600 members. Great place to put questions, to promote your, I would say, probate-focused content. I don't think selling houses, you should put listings here or open houses. It really should be probate-related content that you're sharing with your customers, as well as questions and as well as referrals. I'm Bill Gross. I host separately Probate Weekly every Thursday at 4 o'clock. Now, my call that I do is primarily lead generation strategy. I started that as part of this program. I interview attorneys and vendors as a way for me to generate business, as well as to educate myself and educate you guys on how to be more effective. And then association with that, I have a Facebook group called, oddly enough, Probate Weekly, with about 2,700 members in that. And feel free to come in. This is the upcoming call that I do every week with attorney William Hayes, great probate attorney here in Pasadena, California. Other real estate related content, and then people come in with questions regularly or looking for referrals for attorneys or for real estate agents around the country. So I'd love to have you participate. Those are free, no extra cost to join my call or Facebook group. But this call we do every week is to talk about share successes, to share problems we can work on together, or just get somebody to say, hey, I have that same problem, or to share referrals. You should put your information in the chat box, your name, where you do business, or your contact info, so that when we have referrals in other states or looking for attorneys in other states or other areas, we can connect with each other there. If you have a question, love this to be live. Love to have you raise your hand in the application or put a question in the chat box, and I'll call on you. And while I have plenty I could talk about, I have a YouTube channel. Literally, people watch my videos 15 to 18 hours a day already. So I talk plenty about probate. I'm glad to, my favorite topic. But hopefully here we can work together and solve your problems. I see Mike Lund has his hand up. So let's bring you in, Mike, first of the day. How can we help you today?
Thank you. So I was having a conversation yesterday with a lady who is interested in pursuing an affidavit of heirship for her. She's helping out, her ex-husband recently passed away, and she's just helping out her kids. She had seen some content that I had posted about the importance of having a vacant house policy to ensure the vacant house. Mm-hmm. She asked me a question which had never really occurred to me before. So when there's probate, there's someone running the show, right? There's an executor, there's an administrator. If there's a trust, there's a trustee. In the case of affidavit of heirship, it's just kind of a democratic process, I understand. And so how do they determine, I mean, what evidence is used to say, I can insure this house?
Good question. So I don't know the answer because we don't do affidavit of heirship in California. You're in Dallas? I thought you were in
Yes, that's
Georgia.
correct. Uh-huh.
I thought you were in Georgia.
I'm in Texas. Yes, I'm in Dallas.
Oh, okay, I have your information on here. Okay, let me update you. So Dallas, Texas. So the answer to that is I don't know the answer because I don't know airships.
Okay.
We do them here for we call small probates under. It used to be 166. I want to say under $187,000. But primarily that in California, that's just a bank account typically or some other non-real asset. We don't use it for real property in California, number one. Number two, the fact that you're asking the question is a great excuse to talk to an insurance agent.
And I have done that.
And what did he say?
And he said, if you show the affidavit, then we can insure it. But the way he posed the question kind of led me to think that he didn't deal with this situation very often. So I may continue asking around.
Gee, what a nice excuse to call another insurance agent because we're real estate agents. We're in the talk to the people business. See, I think the thing that we as agents want to put on a hat that says, I know everything. The real hat should be, I know a lot, but what I don't know, I'll find the person who knows the answer.
Yes.
And the other part of that is the finding the person who has the answer is what we call lead generation. Imagine you're an insurance agent in Dallas, Texas today. You're sitting around, are you overwhelmed with new business? You have a nice business, you're short a little bit of business. In my experience, everybody who's in a sales-oriented business like insurance can never have too much. Is that your experience?
I would like to have more, yes.
Every insurance agent in Dallas wants more business. I can assure you, if I did a survey of every single insurance agent in Dallas, I would say, do you have room for like another policy or two a month? They would all say yes. I'm sure of that fact. And so if you call insurance agent, I'm a real estate agent. Michael, what company are you with? Remax, right?
Yeah, that's
Stepstone.
I'm sorry?
I'm with Stepstone Realty.
How many agents in your company?
A few hundred.
Gee, Michael, I'm a real estate agent with Stepstone Realty. We have a couple hundred agents, but we don't have a good insurance resource for homes that are going through an affidavit of heirship. I'm curious, what would you need in order to write a policy or bind a policy on a vacant home when there's affidavit of heirship being started?
Yeah, and we do have some, in fact, what kind of led me to this is there are some folks in San Antonio who are really making a lot of business doing affidavits of heirship. And I will talk to them. I was a little curious. So,
but you want to find the insurance agent that you're going to work with who's going to also refer you some business.
Sure.
This is an excuse to call the agent to get the answer.
Yep.
You don't need to have the answer. You need to know the person who has the answer. Right. So it's
the way this referral came to me, this is actually a vendor partner, part of my vendor team. And I was going to be doing something with her. And then all of a sudden there was a death in the family. And so this is actually turning out to be a different kind of relationship. And she's very appreciative of the interaction we've had.
Yeah, it's interesting on a related topic. Today I had coffee with a longtime friend of mine who's a commercial banker. This commercial banker, one of their clients happens to be a bond company that bonds executors, administrators, and probate estates. So he's looking for me to help him introduce them to attorneys that they can, the banker is looking for attorneys because there's a certain type of accounts that they do in estates and probate. And to me, the more attorneys that work with him, ultimately, the more business I get. I don't know how, but I know if I solve his problem, somehow the attorney or he will refer me more business. That's just how life works.
Right.
And so I think as a realtor, we often get these questions or problems and assume I don't know the answer, as opposed to looking at it as the opportunity to find the answer. And as a result of that process, demonstrate our expertise. And I would think that once you have the answer, you could share this with one thing I hear from realtors all the time is, well, what do I post for content in social media? What do I write? What do I do a video about? What do I put on my LinkedIn or Facebook? To me, I would love to read, Michael, your answer to the question, who insures it and what do you need to have? Now, your answer is going to be related to Texas,
Sure.
Principles are the same nationwide. The laws change. But I find it interesting, and you should post that social media and share it on my Facebook group for probate. You should put that on to the estate planning group of Chads, as well as your own. And if you do a YouTube video, and this is what I do to build my YouTube channel, is I have the same YouTube and I post it in those where I think people appreciate it. I don't post it just to get views. I hope I don't spam, and I might, and people might say, hey, you do a little too much of it. Maybe. I try not to, but if you did a short YouTube and said, hey, this is Michael Lund in Dallas, Texas, and question came up recently, what is needed to write an insurance policy with this affidavit of heirship in Texas? And I talked to my friend, Joe Smith at blank insurance company, and he says that blank, 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 you can get the insurance bound immediately on the phone like that. Joe's a great resource. Here's his phone number. If I can help you on affidavit of heirship, property, or probate property, give me a call. How valuable would that piece of content be to your database, your sphere of influence? And you should post that in multiple channels. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
The easiest way to create content is to answer questions that you're getting and then share them with more than just the person who asked the question. Okay, does that help?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks so much for popping in. Okay, there's John Eric Fraker, JD, with the backdrop of Berkeley, California, I think. Used to be regular here.
Yeah, that's the Berkeley-Oakland border.
Nice. Well, welcome. I know you've been a member of this group for a long time, as well as a contributor and guest on Chad. So it's nice to see what's going on in Berkeley land as far as estate planning, probate, real estate.
Yeah, I'm actually have a couple of probates that I'm trying to close out right now in Santa Clara County, which is my home county. And yeah, yesterday I had a conversation with a friend of mine. He does probate, Alameda and Contra Costa. And I have a creditor claim that was filed like 3 years ago, and the attorney representing the creditor switched hands, and the new people are just like hyper non-responsive. So even though it was filed a while ago, I'm about to reject it just to get them off their backside. So if you guys run into obstacles like that, we the professionals run into that kind of stuff all the time, right?
So John is a double dipper. He's an attorney primarily, as well as real estate. So he kind of understands our world real well. And he's been a guest on this show, as well as on Chad's interviewing him separately as well. So thanks for popping in, man.
Of course.
Cool. Anybody else have a question or challenge or anything to share regarding probate? We're here to help. I mean, I have some things I can share, some of the experiences I've had, but we're here to solve your problems or answer your challenges. You know, it's funny. I get people. I must get one a day who say, hey, I've took the program and I love it. I want to build my business. I have a challenge. I would say, well, come on the show and let's talk about it. We can record it and show other people. And then they don't show up. So if you have a question, this is designed for you. Everybody on this call has taken Probate Mastery, or they're paying to be in this coaching for the purpose of learning to work through probably the same problem that you have. So feel free to reach out and let me help if we can in any way. Turn up my mic a notch. Okay, let's do that. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is that better, volume-wise?
A lot better.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, good.
Easy, very easy, quick question, Bill.
Sure.
So I am taking the course, and I want to engage with the courts and start that learning and building those relationships. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I walk into the courthouse, what's a good opener? Other than, hey, I'm Glenda. I'm here to help.
Sure, Glenda. And is this Glenda Ward?
Yeah, it is.
And you're in Texas. What county of Texas are you in?
Tarrant County.
Tarrant. That's Dallas? No, that's
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, yeah. So have you been inside the court yet?
No, not for this.
Just go.
Okay.
You'll figure it out. I mean, you don't sound shy to me.
I can be. That's why I'm asking. I'm better when I'm prepared.
We all are. And I'm a shy guy too. And I do this all day long. But when you do it enough, you get over the shyness and you'll figure it out. I don't know because, and I don't mean to be flippant, every county is different. LA is the largest probate court in America. We used to have, I think, 9 regional probate courts, and they consolidated them all into one courthouse. There's 9 departments that handle probate, and they're all open 5 days a week, full days. So which is a lot. But LA is very anonymous as a large city. Just the nature of living here is people act like you're never going to figure out who they are, so they can act out and get away with it. That's part of the nature of living in a city. When you live in a smaller town, not to say Fort Worth's a smaller town, but in a smaller town, everybody knows everybody. So you can't get away with anything, because if you act out, they're going to bump into you the next day, or your kids, on their kids' little league team or something like that. And then, in between, our cities are smaller than LA and bigger than small towns. So it's different in every county, and there's different flavor and feel. And of course, we're all different as well. And so I don't want to be so presumptuous to tell you how you should act or how it is in Tarrant County, never having been there. What I will say is you should go there, commit to going a couple times, and just pay attention, just take notes, just notice where things are, where's the courtroom? When is the courtroom? What types of things are held on what time of day and what days of the week? Where do things get filed? Where do you check records? And I think if you just notice those things, the opportunities will be more clear. And if not, come back and update us on what you discovered, and let's try to put a game plan together that works for you. But I will say that I've had agents call me back afterwards and say, oh my gosh, they were so nice to me. I was the only person in the courtroom. The judge asked why I was there. I told him I was doing research, and the judge was so helpful. Well, that's gold, right? That's gold when the judge is helpful. And I've had other people like LA say, oh my God, there's literally bulletproof glass. And I asked them help, and they kind of ignored me. Welcome to Los Angeles. So I would just say go a couple times and try to get what I would say the lay of the land. What is the full breadth of experience in probate court in Tarrant County where you go, from the front end filing to the trial, and just try to get your arms around the whole thing. And I just think if you go there and scout it out, you'll learn a bit. Plan on being there. Plan on taking a break and having a cup of coffee there. You might bump into somebody. That's one of the best clients I ever met. Literally, I was just standing in the hallway, drinking coffee, bumped into her. I'd met her. My wife and I had met her at a social event. She asked me what I was doing there. I told her I was a probate agent. She told me she had a very large conservatorship that she was administering, needed my help, and I did a lot of business with her. So I would just say just go a couple of times, but go with the idea that you're there doing recon. You're there to scout the place out in its full depth and to figure out how can I meet people here and how can I create value.
All right, Bill.
Help a bit?
Yeah.
Okay, Glenn, come back. Now you got to go this week, and then come back next week and tell us how you did, okay?
Okay.
Hold it. Is there next week? I think next week is the 4th of July. Yeah, there is no next week. So come back in 2 weeks and tell us what you learned, okay?
All right, that's a deal.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Okay, that's what we do here. We work together. We share ideas. We share success stories. We share challenges. If you have some other input for Glenda, feel free to put in the chat box. And hopefully she's watching there. Angela McReynolds out of the OKC. Thanks for joining in, putting your contact info in. Carmen Hunter White is in Boise, Idaho. Very nice, Carmen. Nice to meet you. Loretta is in Huntsville. My college roommate was in Huntsville before I knew where Huntsville was. I thought it was just some backwoods city, but Huntsville is actually a pretty large, growing area. So, okay, who else has questions, challenges, problems? I can share some of the things I've gone through in the last couple of days if you like. What life looks like as a agent working this program. I'll share with you one story I find interesting. So I think that in business, you have to decide what your marketing is. And you could buy data in probate and cold call 3 or 4 hours a day. My experience is most people won't do it. And those who do it, most hate it. And most who do it, despite hating it, it's destructive to their soul, the vast majority. My experience as a reformed Mike Ferry prospector, I think it's good fundamentals to learn the business and learn sales, but I don't believe it's a long-term success story for building a business. But you can do it, no judgment. If it works for you, share with me your success. And I know an agent who does really well doing that. But I do think the purpose of probate mastery and Chad's approach was to be of service to people by learning so much and being of value that people want to do business with you. And so when you talk to them, you have that chance to do that. So I'll just share with you that At one time, I went to the court, just like I'm instructing Blended to do. And I learned on the bulletin board in LA, across the street from the LA courthouse is the LA Law Library. And they have classes for consumers, for the public. And one of the classes was Introduction to Probate. Well, I wanted to learn about probate, so I went to listen to the class. And in the class was an attorney who gave a class to people filing probate, kind of being a service. Attorneys are really big on doing service to the community in their work. And I met with her, and I went a couple of times. I realized that she could be more effective at converting some of it into business. She needed somebody else to help her do that, because she's one person and people would line up 10 deep. And unless she wanted to be there for 4 hours, she couldn't get anywhere. But if I met with the people and got the name and number and I vetted the questions, I could feed them to her more efficiently, and she could help the ones that needed legal help. The ones who didn't need legal help just wanted to talk to somebody, I could talk to them. And as a result, we had a relationship. And literally, I hadn't talked to her in a while. And literally, she called me yesterday with a property to sell. And, I had called the customer. I called her back and gave her kind of the update. And she said, Bill, I know you'll take care of it. Just sell it. If you need my help, let me know. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll know what to do. I have agents who've literally called me and asked me for a copy of my listing presentation. I don't really have one. I had another client yesterday, another prospect call, that he called me from out of the country, set an appointment ahead of time. And the person who referred him was a wealth manager. He said, well, we normally refer 3 people. I said, well, that's okay. It's fine. I understand. I said, tell me about the case. And he told me it was a trust. And I looked up the property, and it was an old trust. The property's been deed in the trust for 25 years and was in and out 2 or 3 times because refinancing was never insured back into the trust. And I just said to the wealth manager in passing, well, one of the things I do when I list the property is I right away order a preliminary title report. So we see what the title company says to the title. And I get the customer's documents, I send them to the title company and ask them to review them right away. And that way, either we have a problem or we don't. If we don't have a problem, we're good. If we have a problem right away, we can start working on it. He goes, well, that makes so much sense. Why doesn't everybody do that? I said, I don't know. They're just not, this isn't their business. They don't do this all the time. They don't know to look in the public records and check for themselves. He goes, you know what? I really want you to talk to the customer. So we set up a phone call. So I had a call with the customer, and the kind of the typical things we all talk about. And then the guy said, well, I already interviewed another agent that this wealth manager had sent him. And they talked about this is a $425,000 condo in Panorama City. Now in LA, that's the lowest level income property you're going to get. Condo, Panorama City. It's not slum property. It's definitely lower income, blue collar. They're going to sell fast. It's not FHA, but it's been conventional. And so the other agent had pitched him, because they're just used to selling everything. They hit everything with a hammer. They're going to go to the property and propose to him what he should do to stage the property. Right? Instead of just checking out, they're going to put in nice furniture and take fancy photos. And I said to the customer, in that price range, that property is not worth the money or the time. I said, to be honest, before they could even get all that done, I could have you list the property in an hour online, and we could be getting offers. We could have it open this weekend and probably have offers Monday. Meanwhile, they're going to be still playing around with a photographer next week. And you're going to spend money on all this stuff, on the staging. They wanted to spend a couple $100 to do all that. And I said, really, you just need to junk it out. There's nothing really. It's a condo. It's the association. It's the amenities, the location, and then it's the inside of the property. And so maybe it's different high-end condos, but not in this price range. And really, I said, and he said, well, do you want to go out and see the property? I said, well, there's nothing to see. Well, the other agent promised to go out and give me a detailed report. I said, well, that's because they don't know us to tell you. But the reality is, they're just wasting your time. And I think you have to have the confidence to tell people that if you know your business and you have a way to distinguish between that. And the other problem was, in this case, he's worried that it's a trust where he's the sole heir, and there's somebody who would normally be an heir who's written out. And so in California law, there's some issues with that. They have to get a copy of the trust. And then while technically trust can limit the amount of litigation, people mistakenly say, "Oh, if you have a trust, you can't sue, or there's no litigation." No, that's not true. As John will tell you, there's a whole industry of people who sue, trusts all the time. It's part of the inventory of lawsuits in California is trust litigation. So I was explaining to them, well, yeah, but you want to get this thing done quickly, because the longer it sits, the more resentment builds in that person. I'm not giving you legal advice, I'm going to give you business advice. The longer it sits, the more resentment they have, the more likely they are to push the button on full out legal warfare, as opposed to just sell the house and give me my share or get nothing. And I said, the sooner you move, the better off you are, as long as you follow the rules. And so to sit around, play with the property and, have, staging and professional photography, all that's a way for them just to double in the deal. When I explained this to the customer, he's like, wow, you're really different than other agents. Yeah, I am. And I think that's the goal. And people appreciate that when they do business with me. And people don't appreciate that. I'm pretty busy, so I don't really worry too much about that. So that's the goal, is to have people who want to do business with you and appreciate the distinction that you're offering to them as far as their business.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Loretta.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to talk. I don't think you could hear me. I have a question. So I just started as well. And I'm going through the book or going through the program, and I'm buying all these books, and it's just a lot of information all at once, right? What do you think is where you should start, number one place?
Can I help with that?
Sure, Dave Pinnell, go ahead.
Where are you at right now in building your probate business?
I just bought the program, and I am about 3/4 of the way through listening to I bought both. I bought his system on probate, and then his system on dealing with attorneys or getting business from attorneys. So I'm 3/4 of the way through the very first part of it.
Okay. What's your favorite Winnie the Pooh character?
I don't think I have. I guess Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, good. So you like to influence people.
Yep.
So do you think you'd be good calling professional attorneys that would give you a hard time trying to get past their gatekeeper? Or do you think you'd rather talk to people that just lost a loved one? Well, as Bill talks about, the calls are important, but they're not something you want to maintain throughout the whole process.
Okay.
So you have to figure out where you want to be. Do you have capital to spend letters? You just got to figure out. You do. Okay. I would start there then. If you have capital to spend letters, money to invest, and if everyone else is listening, whoever is listening on this video, the best people to mail to are the ones that are out of state. It's going to be 15% of your probate list that you get. They're going to be in the most need for your help, in my opinion. And then you can go back as soon as you start building up money and funnels and build everything that we've built over the years, converting probate. You'll just add the other criteria, the people that are local relatives that are dealing with their probate or spouses that are dealing with probate.
Okay, so that leads me to another question.
Great.
In the beginning part of his program, he talks about a place that's all animated. So, and I looked it up. I forget the name of it because I just read it. Is where they even do calls for it. And then later on in the program, he talks about different avenues. Is that he's just giving you options, or is there one better than the other?
You were break it up quite a bit. Did anybody else hear?
No, she's breaking up.
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that. So just repeat it, please.
Okay, so on the beginning of his program, he talks about the program that actually does the leads for you. Mm-hmm. Like they do the letters, but they charge you for everything they do. And then later on in the program, he talks about the systems that I guess you can go to. Is there a better way? Is one better than the other?
I would just rely on my own abilities to write my own letters and send my own mail. It's nice to go put that onto somebody, but you're not going to learn the process, and you're not going to see the return and the perspective and the type of return you get from these letters. And what's your end goal? Do you want listings, or do you want to buy homes, make cash offers as an investor?
So I want to start with the listings, and then I want to get into the investment side. I've already started investing. I've got 3 houses that I have that we just bought, so I need to build back up to be able to buy more.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's fine too. But just know that 75 to 80% of these people do not want a listing agent. So you're going in as a disadvantage if you're going, hey, pay me 6% on your dead parent's house. It's just the message, Bill.
Hold on a second. Loretta, where do you sell houses?
In Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay. And I would say, David, that varies by market, because where I am, almost all of them get listed to be sold in California. In other markets, it might be true in Texas or in Alabama.
Do you have big, yeah, I'm sorry to say that to you, but so it's completely different here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say it varies from one end of the state where almost all are listed in California to, David says in Texas, sounds like 80% don't want to list and 20% do. So it varies based on your market area. And I don't know Huntsville or the laws in Alabama. I suspect they're closer to Texas than California. But just for those listening on the call, I wanted to make that distinction.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think, let me ask you, Loretta, how did you find the properties that you have already? You said you have 3 under contract. How did you find those?
I've been doing this for a long time. I'm really going to dive into the Airbnb. And before the slight decline, so we're not really declined here. We are, but we used to put a house on the market. We have 15 offers. We don't have that right now. It's taken it about 30 days to get the house under contract. But a builder, one of the top builders in the area, built kind of out in the county, and he reduced his price to $100,000 because it was out in the county. So I bought 2 houses to do the Airbnbs in. And then while we were in the middle of building those houses, I found another deal that I just couldn't pick up. I mean, the guy reduced his price $100,000, so I bought it.
And again, the other one is also a builder?
I'm one of my agents, so I own my own real estate company.
Okay. So
can you hear me?
Yeah, you kind of, your connection's kind of going in and out. So I think just for everybody listening here, we have to kind of limit a little bit. So if I could just add kind of what David said and build on a little bit, what I would say is, you have to find your way of generating leads. You have to find your music. You have to find, she dropped off. I think the challenge of this business is there's a lot of ways to do the business. And if you have an up and running business, you want to add on to that, not start something from scratch. So, for example, in her case, if you have a business where you're buying properties from builders and you're buying properties in the market, you might consider, how can I add probate to that business to uniquely build my business? Because you have past clients, you have prospects, you have builders you've worked with. They come across probate problems from time to time, and you want to be the solution to that. And so what I would say is, she started the question with, I think she was alluding to a company, all the leads it does. They send, they'll do the mailers for you, and they design the mailers for you, and they have phone callers for you, and I guess they even cash a check for you at some point. But I think to build a sustainable business, you're going to find that you need to find your unique strengths and build around those a business that's duplicatable and delegatable, so you have something going forward. And so the answer is probably not buying the same marketing plan that other people can. You can supplement what you're doing with those activities, but the basis should be your relationships if you really want to build something sustainable. That's my experience. I think that's the point of Chad's program, if I can be so bold. Coach David, okay, are we on board with that? Are we on the same page?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's very unique because you can build. I'm in the middle of transitioning myself because I have so many past experiences now that I'm using those experiences to gain more attention in the probate space. Today alone, I got a call from a banker in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for about a house here in Texas online. So it's nice when you're getting those inbound calls from different content that you publish online that people see you as at least a gatekeeper in the probate space in the local market, in your area. So I would say just, start with one type of person, which is that probate out of town type person. Probably you want to start with one county, get to know their time schedule. Like you said, Bill, go to the courthouse, and then once you start getting experiences and past clients in the probate space, you can start writing stories about that and leverage all those stories to get more business. I mean, Bill and I are 6, 7, 8 years deep into this now. So
I'm only 4 years into it.
Oh,
and literally business every day I get phone calls from people, and my business is really fielding those calls and converting.
That's right.
And that's been going on for the last 2-3 years.
Yep. Same here.
Charles asked a question: how do you tactfully follow up with people who haven't taken care of when you initially call? I'm not an agent. The business model is referrals and off-market investing. So there's 2 ways I could answer that question. One is, in general, whenever we talk to anybody, a standard objection is not interested, or I haven't taken care of. And it's a polite way of saying I really don't want to open up to you and tell you what's really going on, because nobody has it taken care of. Almost nobody has it taken care of. And so you have to ask questions that generate an answer that you can build on. Curious, I see you had 123 Main Street as one of the assets. I'm just curious what your plan is with the property. Looking to sell it, or are you looking to keep it? Be a more specific question to get them to answer a question, get a conversation. But if you ask a question, an easy one to answer, you're going to let them off the hook. You want to engage with them. As far as staying in touch with people, that's the power of social media. I think once you have their name and their address, you can mail a postcard. You have their phone number. You've talked to them on the phone. You can ask them for their email address. I email out to everybody I know every week, and other people multiple times. And what I do know also is when people open your email in Gmail, for example, it sends some sort of Google link that you start seeing my stuff in other places as well. And so you really want to use technology to leverage that. I'm not saying cold email people. I'm saying when you're talking on the phone, I help families like you through the probate process with different tips or information. Would you find that helpful? I'd love to add you to my list. What's your best email address? And they give it to you, great. If they don't, they just don't like you and don't take it personal. So I guess that's part of my answer is you should have a follow-up system for everybody you ever meet the rest of your career, which is social media. You get their email, you send everybody you know email every week. You should be posting in your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever else, regularly, as much as you can to stay in touch with people. It should be content that's of value to people. I know I met a loan officer and he did a really good job. And so as a result of that, I ended up following him on social media, and like all his posts are like silly internet meme kind of stuff, which I guess if you find that entertaining, I don't know, he's not that interesting. And I'm much more interested in some new program or guidelines or some tactic he can use to help me sell a house. I really don't need to see him playing around, dancing, and that kind of stuff. So just be thoughtful about how you market and what you do post. But I personally made the decision to be the source of information about probate and related topics to my database. If you have suggestions on how we can make this call more productive or more valuable to you, feel free to reach out to me personally or put it onto the Facebook group. But we do this every Tuesday, 11 o'clock. And the idea is to share challenges and work through them together, to hear about best practices, and to sharpen our collective saw. Dave Pinnell.
No, I'm just playing with my new camera. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I just got one of those 360 link cameras, and it's like it follows you. It's really neat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. I got a new camera. I'm trying to figure out how to make it work properly. I mean, trying to use it a little more often. So you know how when you talk to people on a Zoom call, you want to have eye contact. It's hard to do because you're reading a document or something. So I got this camera that you put on here. Let me just stick it on real fast. And it literally sticks right onto your computer screen. So you're looking right at the person.
Oh, that's cool.
Right at the camera. It's just an easier way to keep an eye on somebody. So
where did you get that from?
I got it online. I'm a kind of a techie guy, and I just find that now this camera's not as good as the other one as far as lighting and color and other things, but as terms of I'm reading a document and looking at you, it definitely makes the eye contact process a whole lot simpler.
Nice. I love it.
So I don't know. I got that online, and so I'm still trying to integrate that into what I'm doing with customers. But I think the video in this is obviously superior. So it's trying to just play around with it a little bit.
Again, video doesn't have to be the best. It's always the audio. So that's a really good technical thing to have.
You say that. So just talk a little about social media and video. I will say that you want to create video that lasts. And I do think that the higher quality will last longer. So when I'm recording now, I've tried to move to make sure I'm on HD all the time so that those videos will last an extra couple of years, because the technology does improve over time. And you look back at videos from 10, 12 years ago, the content can be great, but if it's a little grainy, it's just not as interesting to watch, I think.
Yep. Very true.
So, okay. Well, look, I don't see other questions. I don't see any hands up. John, nice seeing you. And Dave Donnell, aka Dave Pannell. I see you. Angela, thanks for your questions. And
I did that on my passport too. 7 days before a trip to Canada, I had to get that switched. For some reason I did that.
Do you need a passport to go to Canada?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't know either. I just drove across the border. I've been to Canada a couple of times.
I had to update it, so I had to get a new one anyways, but they sent it to me. My last name is spelled.
It's funny.
I don't know if you have to. That's a good question. I don't think you do. I mean, obviously we had to scan it when we were there, so.
Something, I don't know. I mean, I haven't traveled outside the U.S. for quite a while. I remember I used to live in Florida, and we would go to the Bahamas, which is kind of like going to Vegas when you live in Florida. It was like a $40, airfare pop over and cheap hotels and stuff. And you only needed a driver's license to come back from the Bahamas at the time and other Caribbean countries, but I believe that's changed. So. Okay. Hey guys, I think that's it for today. Unless someone else has a question last minute here. If you do, feel free to go into Probate Mastery, put the question there, or reach out to me personally. I'm at Bill Gross EXP on social media. I'm glad to help answer questions I can or direct you to the person that can. Thanks to those who participated today, and appreciate you guys. And we'll see you not next week, which is July 4th. Have a great July 4th weekend celebrating independence and freedom here in America. We'll see you guys back in 2 weeks. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye-bye.